speak with impunity about the Illuminati because I know who you would have to be in order for what I'm saying to bother you, number one.
Right.
Number two, I know your big secret. I know that you're not the Illuminati. I am. So...
Joe Rogan has done it again, tearing into Michelle Obama's glossy, market-tested persona with the precision of a surgeon who's seen this kind of act before. We're talking about America's so-called queen of relatability, the woman who branded herself as the ultimate best friend to the working class while quietly building a personal empire of private jets, multi-million-dollar estates, and exclusive designer wardrobes. Rogan didn't just call out the contradictions. He painted a picture that's hard to shake. The former First Lady in her perfectly tailored outfits, speaking about sacrifice to audiences who will never see the inside of a Martha's Vineyard compound, let alone own one. For years, we've been sold the story of the Southside girl who rose above it all. But Rogan's blunt assessment suggests we may have been sold something else entirely, a lifestyle brand dressed up as grassroots grit.
I have to say, though, those weren't that mean. I mean, look, I've got to tell you, you should see what the Senate says about me all the time. I mean, that was some piker stuff.
That brand has been carefully maintained, from the highly curated book tours to the Netflix production deals worth more than most Americans will earn in a lifetime. Michelle's speeches on understanding struggle have been the backbone of her image, yet the reality, Rogan argues, is that her day-to-day existence is closer to royalty than to any working mom juggling bills. It's a tension that's been bubbling under the surface for years. One day she's photographed in an outfit costing more than a month's rent in most cities. The next, she's reminding us to remember where we came from. We've all heard this narrative before, but when the receipts start to pile up, the beach homes, the security details, the chauffeured rides, the message starts to feel a little less like solidarity and a little more like performance. What makes Rogan's critique land so sharply is the timing. Michelle's absence from key moments that once would have been non-negotiable for a figure of her stature has started to stand out. She was nowhere to be seen at Jimmy Carter's funeral, a rare gathering of political heavyweights where her presence would have been both expected and symbolic. Then came Donald Trump's inauguration, another event she skipped, despite Barack's attendance. Official lines talk about scheduling conflicts and political distaste, but Rogan and others aren't buying it. These absences, especially in quick succession, have fueled whispers that the gap between her and Barack isn't just physical, it might be personal.
Not to add insult to injury, but there's a Daily Mail report out today saying Kamala Harris's marriage may be on the rocks. Like everybody's on the rocks. Again, I will say I love the Daily Mail, but the sourcing appeared weak. It was like people who know the couple, but like, I don't know if it's any better than that. But they're saying she's blaming him in part for her loss because he turned out to be such a hot mess liability. You buy it?
Those whispers have turned into a low rumble, echoing through DC insiders and Hollywood circles alike. Rumors of a marriage on the rocks have been around for years, but lately they've found new oxygen. Michelle's increasingly independent public life, podcasts, solo media appearances, high-profile projects without Barack is now being seen through a different lens. Meghan McCain, of all people, stirred the pot recently, claiming that very serious journalists have told her the divorce chatter is more than just gossip. Puck reporter Tara Palmieri went a step further, saying she's been hearing for a long time that the Obamas live separate lives. Whether that's reality or just well-fed speculation, the absence of clear denials only fuels the intrigue.
The rocks. The question now isn't if, but when. If I had to guess, they will wait until after the inauguration to announce it. Timing, is everything. And yet the story doesn't end there. For months, I've heard Jennifer Aniston's name tied to Barack. At first, it seemed ridiculous, but the rumors have remained steady among New York.
And then, as if the narrative wasn't already veering into tabloid territory, the old Joan Rivers controversy resurfaced, this time with a much darker shadow. Back in 2014, Rivers, never known for pulling punches, made the now infamous off-the-cuff remark that Barack was homosexual and Michelle was a transgender. It was the kind of outrageous soundbite Rivers specialized in, but what happened next has kept conspiracy-minded corners of the internet buzzing for nearly a decade. Just weeks after making the comment, Rivers went in for what was supposed to be a routine throat procedure. Something went catastrophically wrong, leading to her sudden hospitalization and ultimately her passing. The official reports blamed a series of medical errors at the clinic. Wrong anesthetic dosage, ignored vitals, procedures performed without written consent. But for some, the timing was too strange to dismiss. This theory got a fresh jolt when Larry Sinclair, a man with his own controversial history, sat down with Tucker Carlson to revive claims of an intimate encounter with Barack back in the late 90s. Sinclair's story, involving late-night parties and questionable substances, was salacious enough on its own, but in the fever swamps of online speculation, it was instantly linked back to Rivers' comments, as if connecting these points on a conspiracy corkboard could explain the unanswered questions. Alex Jones fanned the flames years ago, suggesting Rivers knew too much and that her end was not just bad luck. And while mainstream outlets steer clear of outright endorsement of these theories, the fact that they keep resurfacing, even in passing, shows how deep they've sunk into the public imagination.
So the truth about Jen and Barack is that there is no truth.
There is
it
no
is
truth.
untrue. You know Barack Obama.
I've met him once.
Met him once.
I know Michelle more than him.
What is there a truth about you and Michelle that we should know?
That is not true.
The interplay between the old Rivers clip and the current state of the Obama's marriage rumors is hard to ignore. Michelle's absence from high-profile events now gets spliced into old footage, edited into TikTok conspiracy threads that rack up millions of views. A missed funeral becomes part of a chain of evidence. A birthday photo where Barack says "love you" instead of "I love you" gets treated like a cryptic signal of strain. We're watching the transformation of separate gossip streams into a single narrative. One where the polished, controlled image of the Obamas starts to show hairline fracture. And every fracture becomes an invitation to ask, what's really going on behind the closed doors of that Martha's Vineyard estate? Could the cracks in Michelle's polished image be hiding something far darker than we ever imagined? Behind the polished speeches and flawless photo ops, there's another empire Michelle Obama has been building. One that doesn't take place on a political stage, but on streaming platforms across the world. Higher Ground Productions, the Obamas' celebrated deal with Netflix, was once sold as a way to tell diverse stories and give a voice to the voiceless. But according to insiders, the glossy mission statement hides a brewing battleground of egos, unspoken rivalries, and the kind of quiet power struggles that never make it into press releases. We've heard whispers of Michelle's exacting standards clashing with Hollywood veterans who aren't used to being told how to shape their own creative work. Her reputation for being charming and relatable on camera, some say that behind the scenes, it's all steel and no small talk.
Our first guest tonight is a legendary star of screens big and small. She is one of the most loved human beings in all the world. Her new book, which is for kids, is called Clydio Takes a Bite Out of Life. Please welcome Jennifer Aniston.
One name keeps coming up in this alleged tension: Jennifer Aniston. Their circles began to overlap in LA thanks to Barack's growing ties to entertainment, but industry sources claim things got complicated fast. It started, they say, with Aniston expressing interest in collaborating on a project through Higher Ground. On paper, it was a perfect pairing: America's sitcom sweetheart and the nation's former First Lady, teaming up for a prestige production. But the partnership reportedly soured in the earliest stages, with Michelle allegedly rejecting story ideas, pushing for total creative control, and treating the project less like a collaboration and more like an audition she intended to direct. One insider described the dynamic bluntly: it was Michelle's way or no way.
So when you're at home, can you run down to the kitchen in your underpants in the middle of the night if you're hungry?
I mean, I could. I don't.
You don't.
It didn't help that this alleged standoff came on the heels of tabloid rumors linking Barack and Aniston in ways that neither of them publicly entertained. While Aniston laughed off the headlines on late-night television, those close to the situation suggest Michelle wasn't nearly as amused. We can't ignore the timing. Rumors of a cool front between the two women coinciding with chatter that at least one Netflix development meeting went sideways. In Hollywood, reputations are everything, and a public feud, even an unspoken one, can ripple quietly through every studio and agency list. That's where the perfectionist streak becomes more than a personality note. People who've worked with Higher Ground say Michelle personally signs off on every casting choice, every narrative arc, even the color palette of promotional materials. On the surface, it's the mark of a hands-on producer. But in a town where big personalities are supposed to bend for the sake of the deal, too much control can backfire. An installed series, one pulled budget, and suddenly the narrative shifts from visionary leadership to difficult partner. For an empire built on image and influence, the optics of that kind of label could be catastrophic.
She is not sorry.
They are looking forward. All the women in your life are looking forward.
All the women in my life are looking forward to being able to, live a more normal life.
Yeah, but still not entirely normal. Obviously, everybody's under the microscope at all times.
A little bit more.
And you're staying in Washington, D.C., which is unusual for an exiting president.
The carefully constructed reluctant hero persona has become one of Michelle Obama's most enduring shields. She has repeated, almost like a mantra, that she never wanted to be in politics, that her time in the White House was an obligation, not an ambition. To the casual observer, this humility seems authentic, a refreshing counterpoint to the relentless careerism of so many political figures. But to those who watch her moves closely, the contradiction is hard to ignore. Every book tour, every sold-out speaking engagement, every strategic appearance on late-night television keeps her firmly in the public eye, the opposite of someone retreating from political life. This reluctance narrative works precisely because it blurs the line between duty and desire. By positioning herself as the outsider dragged into the political arena by circumstance, Michelle sidesteps the scrutiny and expectations that follow someone openly pursuing power. At the same time, it allows her to maintain a high-profile platform without committing to the risks of elected office, all while building a network of influence that rivals those who have spent decades in formal politics. It's a balancing act that leaves her with all the benefits of visibility and none of the accountability that comes with an official title.
Don't do that. I mean, look, they all have their smartphones and they're texting with their friends. They're doing all the stuff that teenagers are doing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Michelle and I try to emphasize to them that they don't want to be
In the
on
news.
TMZ.
Yeah, right.
We've seen this tactic play out before, with other public figures who disavow personal ambition while quietly building the infrastructure for a future run. Michelle's public denials are always firm, but never absolute, leaving just enough room for speculation. Each new memoir release or Netflix project doubles as a national reintroduction, reminding audiences of her charisma and relatability while subtly reinforcing the idea that she could step back into the political spotlight if the country really needed her. The groundwork, whether intentional or not, mirrors the early stages of a long campaign. Her supporters view this as restraint, a sign she's not hungry for the job, which ironically makes her even more appealing to those disillusioned with traditional politicians. Her critics, however, see a calculated manipulation of public sentiment, a way to keep her name at the top of most admired lists without being pinned down to a policy record or a campaign trail. Every award she accepts, every magazine cover she graces, every televised interview carefully threads the same needle, above the fray, but never out of frame.
Hard to look at that and go,
No, it is not.
No?
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, you know, the thing about what I learned in those 8 years is that home is where we make it, and we were in the White House for 8 years, but it wasn't the house, it was us in it. It was
Right.
our values and our love for each other, and
Yep.
we just moved that to another house. So
It's worth noting how this approach also plays into her broader brand as a cultural figure rather than a strictly political one. By moving seamlessly between political commentary, entertainment ventures, and lifestyle advocacy, she can speak to a wider audience than most public servants ever reach. And because she continues to frame her involvement as reluctant, she avoids alienating those wary of partisan politics while still shaping the conversation. This duality, the apolitical celebrity with undeniable political clout, is part of what makes her influence so resilient.
But we're doing great. The girls are good. Barack is working. We've got projects going. So we're staying busy and traveling. We've had some fun.
are you still working on a lot?
Yeah,
I'm not
I
going to
do.
challenge you to anything because
Yeah, no. I'm not dressed for a challenge.
I'm not either.
In the end, whether this is an authentic stance or a masterclass in image management depends on which lens we choose to view it through. But what's undeniable is that the Reluctant Hero Act has kept Michelle Obama positioned as both an untouchable cultural icon and a plausible future candidate. It's a position few have managed to hold for this long, and it suggests that whatever her true intentions, the strategy, if it is one, is working exactly as designed. Meanwhile, away from the glossy press days, there's a darker thread weaving itself back into the conversation: the return of the Joan Rivers revenge theory. Every few years, it bubbles up in some corner of the internet, only to fade again under the weight of official explanations. But with Rogan's blunt critiques and renewed scrutiny on the Obamas, the story has found fresh oxygen. Rivers' comments in 2014, claiming Barack was homosexual and Michelle was a transgender, were outrageous enough to dominate headlines for days. But it was what happened after that still rattles people: a supposedly routine procedure, sudden complications, and the shocking announcement that the comedy legend was gone.
No, so here's the thing, and this is one other theory of the case. Maybe Jennifer Aniston is the Biden's answer to George Clooney here, right? I mean, maybe this, because I'll be honest, I have heard this sort of thing rumbling around in DC, and there's some connections there with the people, what you would call reputable people, because they served in an administration.
The official investigation pointed to medical negligence, the wrong anesthetic dosage, vital signs ignored, procedures without written consent. But the speed of her decline and the proximity to her public remarks became fuel for a growing number of people who simply don't believe in coincidence. Alex Jones's past suggestion that Rivers knew too much has become part of the folklore, with online sleuths posting side-by-side timelines, dissecting every gap in the official reports, and asking the same question. If it wasn't connected, why did it happen so fast after those remarks? That line of suspicion has only deepened with new players like Larry Sinclair reviving his own decades-old claims about Barack's private life. In the public imagination, the pieces start to connect. Rivers makes the comments, the remarks go viral, the procedure goes wrong, and suddenly, she's no longer around to elaborate. It's this chain of events, however speculative, that blends seamlessly into today's atmosphere of mistrust toward public figures whose images seem just a little too perfectly managed. And every time Michelle skips another high-profile appearance or posts a curated family moment, the theorist sees on it as proof that not everything is as it seems.
Jennifer Aniston, it was her circle of friends there allegedly discussing this. I mean, we don't know, but
that's how you know it's true.
Is it so hard to believe?
Like, when a woman tells another woman, yeah, you can tell me, I'll keep a secret, the phone's already out. Now it's about to hit a group chat. So that is, to me, the most conclusive piece of evidence.
When we put it all together, the Netflix clashes, the strained Hollywood alliances, the resurfaced whispers about Joan Rivers, and the cracks showing in the once unshakable Obama brand, the picture gets harder to dismiss. It's no longer just about whether Michelle is the same woman who once danced with Ellen and planted a vegetable garden on the White House lawn. It's about whether that image was ever more than a brilliant piece of marketing. And if the narrative has been managed this tightly for this long, what would happen if it all unraveled at once? As more cracks appear in Michelle Obama's carefully curated image, the question remains: how much of what we've been told is real, and what else are they hiding? We'll be watching closely, but what do you think? Is this just the usual churn of celebrity gossip, or are we seeing the start of a bigger reveal? Let us know your take in the comments, and until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and never stop asking the questions they'd rather you didn't.